Isak, would you like to do the intro this time?
Wow, that's a big honor. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the REKT podcast. Yeah, woo.
Yay!
Sound effects, fire.
REKT podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of.
Back with episode 3, is it?
Yes, episode 3,
Yes.
that is correct.
You're talking to a special guest. I know not many people know of him.
Yeah.
He's been around, but behind the scenes a lot. But his name.
Welcome in, Isak!
Yay! Edit, cut. He's here.
Oh, wow!
That was-
Isak!
Was that all? That
I was
was
going to
all.
have a black blob over his face to begin with, and then he'll just appear.
Making the guest do the intro is a bit,
It's kind of magical.
how do you introduce yourself? Like, without seeming like a dickhead,
That's kind of why I never introduce myself, because there's nothing more
point,
ego. There's nothing more ego-driven than introducing yourself. It's like, I hate when people are like, I'm Manic and I'll be your host for this evening. It's like, we know that.
Yeah.
You introed the show,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be the host.
And most likely there's a little thing with your name down the bottom.
Yeah, everywhere you look, it's ego-driven. It's ego-driven.
I see.
But we're jumping around the place. So last episode we were talking about ALGS, and we were saying that we were going to move on to the gauntlet next. But we decided, how about we just don't do that, and we
Sorry,
make
guys, screw
Isak
you.
come in on a Tuesday, to which I don't reply to him and say, hey, we're not going to shoot on the Tuesday. He rocks up at the studio. We're not here. So now we're
I
shooting
got some
on-
work done.
That's all that
Did
matters.
some
We're now
things.
shooting on a Thursday.
This and that.
And he said he's got some work done. Reason being, he is now part of the REKT gang. Gang, welcome, Isak.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
It's a
Having
pleasure
me.
to have you.
It
Thank
is.
you.
We've known you and I specifically have known each other for, I feel like it's 4 years now.
Really?
I'd say we probably haven't known each other for 4 years. Like, you probably didn't know me when I started working on OCN. which is, I'm
Oh
guessing,
no,
where we
your
met.
replays were pretty,
Oh,
they were
really?
pretty
Okay.
identifiable. I'll say that much.
Well, I was still learning at the start. Like, I was never at this point where I am now.
Still
But-
the best
The replay king.
replay I have ever seen in my life. And I'll tell you what, so like, to give context, I'll explain where it's come from. We used to work on the show Oceanic Nationals, which was under ESL Australia, and that was basically the Rainbow Six ecosystem in Australia. It was a hoot. It was like back in a time when none of us were really doing anything of substantial value. I'm talking about the casters. I'm not talking about ESL or anything like that.
I mean, it goes both ways.
We were all learning, right? We were all
Yeah.
kind of progressing
Together,
together, but
everyone's getting into it.
it was a lot of fun because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was happening. We were kind of
It was
finding
a fun
out.
show.
It was a
very
lot of fun.
show.
We were
Yeah.
finding our own feet. Shout out Brendan Hill,
Shout out
producer,
Brendan.
absolute legend.
That's my goat.
The whole show just felt like it was all very connected together. But the reason we knew Isak so damn well is because every show he would be, he'd put a package together for the end of show. Now, his replays during the show, they were phenomenal. But there's something very ego-stroking about watching yourself on camera as you cast. And I still remember, this is the only show where the talent have all sat back to watch the replays at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was wholesome.
Because every damn time, Isak would grab like all these moments of us losing our shit on camera.
Yeah.
I remember one time he made my eyes real big. Actually, in fact, I think there's a gif of it lying around somewhere.
With the two eyes in the mouth.
It was
I remember
phenomenal.
that, yeah.
I'll throw the
Oh
gif
my
up if I can
God.
find it. But that's how we got to know Isak very well. But prior to that, like, I honestly don't know much about your life prior
That
to that.
was Oceanic Nationals was like my first like proper show that I
Yeah.
got like consistently stuck on.
Yeah.
Before that I was like Contenders, and then they threw me on random shows like this is like ESL. But like Brendan brought me on to OCN, and he let me run, man. Like
Yeah.
all props to that guy. Shout out, because he let me run with all the replays and everything. Like I don't know many producers that would allow me to do that on a show. Like I do know some, obviously, but it's hard to let a new guy do that on a show.
Yeah, sure.
Like at the
Yeah.
start, I was always running stuff by him, and I would like, I would always let him screen the replays before they went live.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then he just started trusting me, and then it started getting wild, because then he would also sit and watch the replays as well, like with anticipation.
I
with
feel
you
like it
guys
was a
as well.
moment, right? It was like everyone stuck around at it, which no one does. Like, for those of you that know esports shows, the second a show finishes, everyone's packing up and just pissing off. Like,
That
not
show
many
was
people,
special. Yeah.
not many people stick
Aw.
around.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that, I feel like that crew in particular, you probably used to hear it.
Yeah.
It was like some of the most heinous shit being
Yeah.
said behind the scenes.
Because Brendan would sort of bounce your guys' energy, because when we're in
Yeah.
the production room, we can't hear the casters when they're obviously off air. But
Yeah.
Brendan, who's our producer, he has a pre-fader, which is he can always hear the casters. And so he would always like hear you guys, and we'd sort of get his energy, your energy through him.
Yeah.
Like you guys would be like reacting to stuff, and Brendan's like super engaged in it, and he's like laughing. You know, he's like,
He was
"Oh,
fantastic.
He's
Like,
laughing his head off. And
honestly,
stuff,
of all
and,
the producers I've ever worked with, Brendan Hill is by far the absolute GOAT. Like,
Great guy.
just the way he bounces, like you're saying, he bounces the energy off.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I just remember, like, you know, we'd rock up to a show early and it would just, like I said, heinous shit being said, but like the energy in the pre-show matched the energy in the matches, which was like, it's just unheard of.
Usually, that's something so undervalued in production is
Absolutely.
the mood of like everything in the production room and with talent as well.
Yeah.
That bond between the two is such a powerful thing because it comes across in the product like in so much.
For sure.
Especially OCE is a great thing about it.
How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, sorry, I've been enthralled. No, I remember this time, and I'm like, it's so funny because I didn't know you back then.
I didn't know you till probably like 6 months ago. Maybe?
Literally, yeah. So on that, take me back to, was that your first job in esports and gaming, like at ESL? So you'd never done anything prior to that at all. So Brendan just let you go nuts, and you knew nothing essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to come on TSL as an audio operator.
Oh wow!
So I signed up. I was doing uni, studying media, screen and sound production.
Yeah.
And I just saw an ad on my uni website, and I just like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. I was working in chemist. I was like, I don't really like customer service. Like,
no.
I
So
hate
you're working at KMS?
Customer service?
What,
chemist.
Oh, you're working at a chemist.
Sorry, I thought you meant KMS like the accounting
Our
firm. And I was
accountants.
like, what the Yeah, no, sorry.
I'd be a different person, I think.
I think so.
Nah, yeah, I can't stand like working with entitled customers, man. Like, especially at a chemist, people think they're entitled to their medication, even if their script's like expired or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a good first place to start.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the experience.
Yeah.
But it was time to move on.
Yeah.
And then I saw an ad for esports, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about esports because, like, obviously, you knew about esports, but how involved were you in watching or anything like that? Was this your first dive into esports, or was this like how did that come?
I used to bet on CS:GO matches when I was like 14. So I guess I got into it pretty early. Yeah, I'd sit in the library at lunch or something and just like bet cases on CS:GO matches. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's my start. Probably my highlight of my high school career was winning a knife on a CS:GO lotto wheel in lunchtime.
That's massive.
Yeah.
That's how much was it worth?
Everyone was celebrating. It's like, yeah. And then there was a dude behind me who had crutches, and he went, yeah, and he put his arms up, and the crutch fell and smashed my computer screen.
Oh my god. And like broke it?
It broke the screen.
Oh my god.
And he didn't pay for it either. He said, that's not on me, guys. You want a knife, you can pay for it. I'm like,
you want a knife?
Like $50. He's not going to pay for it.
What a dick.
Oh my god.
Anyway, shout out Lloyd Akel, my man.
Wow.
Let's not
I'm
shout
not
that
watching
guy
this,
out
but
ever again.
definitely not watching this, but yeah.
So you studied media and sound production at uni. And so what led you like in like high school to do that? Like what was it? Was it games? Was it like what was it?
I was a big film guy. Like I didn't really watch a lot of film, but I knew I loved video editing. I wanted to do something in that. I don't really know what specifically got me into film. But as I was going through high school, I sort of started realizing that I don't want to do film because I'm not very good with the project-based stuff. Like if there's like a deadline in 2 weeks and you have to get a bunch of shit done. Yeah. That's not really like my forte, I think. I think I started realizing that with like film stuff. Like I'd always leave stuff to the last minute and it would get, yeah, it's like, I don't know. You have to be built different, I think, to do that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why I fell so in love with live production.
Yeah.
Like,
because you're forced to do it, right?
And everything, you do it, and once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Like your product's out there. You don't have to be a perfectionist about it.
Yep.
Like, I think I get really into the nitty gritty with video editing and stuff, and I try to like be a soft perfectionist about it. But with like live TV, it's done. It's done. Yeah. You know.
Throw shit at a wall, hope it
and
sticks.
There's fun in that too. There's so much like little pizzazz you can do with all the live stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Kyla, do you have any questions?
He seems like he does.
He seems like he really is burning to ask you a question.
Yeah, what would you like to ask Isak?
I tried to get him to come over here and he just ran back there.
No, he's like, this is Isak's show today, guys.
It is. We haven't fed him though, have we?
I'm taking
No, I
that.
fed him.
What are you doing? What are you?
He's just worshipping our guests.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
It's very-
Okay. He's chilling with me.
Yeah, but you do
He's
give
my
off
guy
a very
now,
chilled
okay.
vibe. So I can
Yeah.
My guy
understand that.
now.
I will say one thing that we've noticed. We've only been working with you for about a month, and I think we've worked together. It was way in the past now. I think we stopped working together on APAC South. Would it have been that?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it would have been. They
Like
didn't replay Feedback South at the end, right? I don't think they did.
I don't
Yeah.
think they even did. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking. We stopped working together
It was a while
on
ago.
on a daily basis back in like 2021. I think that was like the last time we worked
Maybe.
together seriously on a product.
Yeah, maybe.
We probably,
while
I
ago.
know we've probably connected on other products and things like that.
Have we?
Not that I really work
I
on
don't.
any
I
other
don't think we
products.
have. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I still work Counter Strike, and no,
No.
I don't. I don't know what I'm talking about. But one thing I've noticed since you coming on and working with us is the little attention to. You said this word before, pizzazz. Is that
Pizzazz.
That
Pizzazz or
je ne sais
pizzazz?
quoi, you know?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
little-
okay.
that
Ah,
unhidden
baguette.
something.
That little
Croissant,
something.
croissant,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
No, what I've noticed is you have you get very particular about making the show better in 1% ways.
Mhm.
So although a show can, really be summed up, let's just use it in percentage wise, show can be summed up for the most part in about 80% of that show. But you're very interested in how do we make it 1% better? And by that, I mean how do we make the talent feel like they're on board? How do we make the replays feel like they're integrated? Things like the B-roll.
Mhm.
Does that come from your love of esports, or does it come from your love of trying to make a product better?
I think it's more the product.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of this stuff could translate to normal TV as well.
Yep.
Like if that was something I went down to in the future. But I think when you start doing those little 1%ers, you start stacking them up,
Mhm.
and then if you take it slow bit by bit, then like 3 weeks down the line, you sort of have an extra 10%, and everything looks a bit nicer.
Yep.
Like all this B-roll I'm shooting and stuff like that could be used for future projects. Like,
Absolutely, and it will
it's
be.
all- it
I
all
will
adds to the
guarantee you,
catalog.
it will be.
and if you make it good enough to where it's like at a good standard, then you don't have to be like, oh, it's shit B-roll, I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
Just actually make good stuff all the time, even if it takes a bit longer. Just make it good, and then you can come back to it and use it because it's an asset now.
Yeah.
Right? It can be used in the future,
Yeah.
and it can also be like mix and matched, I guess. Like,
We love mixing and matching here.
yeah, I've never heard someone describe it as like the little 1%ers, but yeah, it does
Yeah.
make sense.
It's kind of like in a broader perspective for those that, played sport when they were younger. A lot of it, like those 1%ers were talked about a lot in AFL, like in footy, local footy. I still remember, like everyone's talking about like, oh, what 1% can you give? Can you be that 1% difference by the end of the game? And like you said, it's those little 1%ers that kind of overall, when you look back at a product, it should be increasing it tenfold. Because it's kind of like,
Definitely.
think about it like as a compounding interest. It's not 1% on that day, it's 1% across every day. And if you're just adding 1% to each show, it makes it so much smoother, it makes it so much nicer.
Yep.
I think that's actually what I took away from OCN is like when we first had Oceanic Nationals, go back to it, it felt like it was just, at the start, we were just trying to find our feet. But each show, something was added. The replays got a little bit funnier. The talent got a little bit more bizarre in what we were talking about or what we wanted to do. And I feel like that's how you get to a point where a show becomes entertaining.
Definitely.
And I think you saw that with things like LEC, for example. Like, and you probably have no idea what LEC is, but...
No, I do.
Yeah.
League of Legends? No.
Yeah.
What, it is.
What does it cover?
What does it cover?
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
Yeah,
Not even I know that, I think. Like, I play League of Legends. They've got so many different names anyway.
I think like the point of LEC is it built up over a time to become a show that was absolutely phenomenal. Like I think maybe LEC 2 years back was peak esports for me. Like maybe even a year ago was unbelievable. It's dropped off since, unfortunately. We're in a very rough industry right now. There are, people losing jobs left, right and center. I think LEC lost, I want to say like 30-40% of its staff. So you lose considerable amount of people that work on the creatives. But I think that's where it builds to, right? It just builds on like each year you find a way to innovate. You find a new staff member to bring on board to change either the way you do things, the way you look at things. Like I know you've got ideas on how you want to do things. We have previous ideas on how not to do things.
I think that's just the esports industry. It's a very innovative place.
Yeah.
Like if you take an esports production company compared to a TV production company,
Yeah.
there are so many fresher ideas, newer faces.
Yeah.
I think it's because esports industry is more willing to employ like younger, more ambitious, more new to the scene people.
Yeah.
TV
Underqualified, if you will.
Underqualified, good way to put it.
Yeah.
And underqualified people have ambition. They have, especially in the esports industry, a lot of people have ambition for it.
They
it's
do.
probably the main reason why it runs, because...
Speaking on that, if you could design like your most ideal like broadcast run of show, like what would you change? Because I feel like everything, like realistically from one product to the next, there's really not much that's that different, right? What would you incorporate it into it from like a storytelling perspective? And like if you could do whatever you wanted to do, that like I'm throwing you under the bus and like feel free to like take a minute.
I have a lot of ideas about this stuff. But it's all like 1%, as you were saying.
Yeah.
It's something like, I would love to get custom player stingers to sting out replays with. So like someone pops off and they chuck an ace, you have like a custom player stinger that has that person in it, for example, that goes to the player. Or like,
shut up, man, you're selling trade secrets.
I'm sorry, this is a bad thing to say. We'll just rewind.
Well, this is all stuff that's done in sports. I just take everything I see, because there's so much inspiration everywhere you look, in everything. I think at this point, there's an original idea is extremely hard to come by.
Yes.
Like it's always just a mixed match of existing ideas.
Yeah.
And it's about like finding a way to manipulate that. So although it's not original, it's original to you. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like there's just that way to be like, you know, let's talk about B-roll, for example, because you just went and shot this last week. Your typical B-roll, drone shots over a city, like we've all seen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's an example. It's just like drone shots over a city.
Yeah.
It's very boring. It's very bland. It just shows the city off. It's beautiful when you do a larger event in like Stockholm, or you do one in New York City, or like
when it's an international event, you have to show like where it is.
It's beautiful.
It makes sense.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
But from my perspective, I think that one, it's overused, and two, it just gets a little bit dry looking at the same thing.
It does. It makes it feel like a break.
Yes.
You're in a break.
The way you shot things on B-roll, I think it's actually, I don't want to say it's unique, but you don't really see a lot of it where it's a little bit more like, there's a little bit more of a handheld aspect to it where it's like, it's only slightly moving, not much, just slightly. And like you've gone for color grading, which we just don't see enough of in esports.
No,
like,
it looks so nice.
I feel like no one actually understands what color grading is in esports.
It was like going, like for me, it was like you were taking the viewer through like a very intimate little like look at the city. Like it was very, it wasn't like a big, as you said, like big grandiose drone.
That's the idea of it. That's like the little handheld moments as well. Like I don't want to use a stabilizer because I feel like then it becomes, there's no life to the footage.
Yeah.
Like there's, as you're saying, you're trying to get the life into it, which is taking you through, you're going on a walk with someone.
Yeah.
Which is also where those like little shaky hand movements come in.
It looks good.
It's nice. I love it.
That's character.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's just something that's developed over time. But yeah.
Where do you think that develops from?
Like the
kind of the like, just to be honest, I've worked with a lot of different people. I think I just kicked. Don't worry about me.
It's fine.
Let me just get that out of there. One thing I will say is I've worked with a lot of different production companies. We own a production company. We work with a lot of contractors. Like honestly, I've worked different places around the world, from EFG to, you know, even in Saudi Arabia. I've worked with a couple of production companies there, Live Nation, all these different companies. But one thing I haven't seen, maybe because we're not working on the day-to-day, is like just that attention to making things look more stylized.
Yeah.
And my big question for you is like, do you think that that's something that changes a product? Do you think that that's essential to...
Style is a whole product in the end. Like if you have an overarching theme for a whole product and everything blends into that, then it creates, it's not a product anymore. It becomes like alive, you know? It gives it life. Like if everything blends in together, like this whole Rivals package, let's say, like if we wanted to go with that whole cyberpunky, dusky, ambient sort of grungy feel to it, then everything just flows into each other. It requires a lot of work to do.
For sure.
Like it's not easy to do at all. And it's hard to do it, especially for projects that only run for like 8 weeks or something, you know? it's hard
It's
to
even
put that
harder
much
when you
effort into
have
it.
2 weeks to prepare for it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really only a week.
Yeah,
Wow.
and when everyone's fresh as well into a new studio and
Exactly.
everything. Yeah. I'm not saying we could have done for this, but it takes a lot of work to do it. But I think it's like it just creates a memorable product instead of just an average esports show. Something you chuck on the back. Like
We know what an average esports show looks like, right?
yeah, we do.
Would actually putting it into just a number. Like I always like putting things in a number so you can kind of see let's say 100 is the greatest product that you could have. I can't really think of an example outside of LEC. Maybe I'm trying to think of something that has like all the bells and whistles. It's got your jibs, it's got your player content, it's got your individualized stingers, it's got
everything. Yeah.
graphics packages, it's innovating on it's just got API, it's got everything. Where do you think, like at what number do you think most shows are at in terms of 0 to 100? Do you think that
Most shows?
Yeah, so like just
in
like
general,
your basic show, like you've done enough shows by now to know where the average show sits.
Yeah.
Where do you think the average show sits on that spectrum?
60 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
That's exactly the number I had in my head
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I've seen a lot of shows where they have everything.
Yeah.
And those shows are insane. I think that's where a lot of the 1%ers come from.
Yep.
It's because I've worked with so many different producers now that you take little bits from every single one and you try to mash them into make yourself a better person, or not better person, but more experience. It's all about getting experience at the end of the day. And once you work under so many different forces and how they handle things,
Yep.
you try to take what you think is the best from everyone and then put it together. Like Philip Clear, he's another really good producer.
Yep.
He's ESL's Malaysia's main one at the moment. And the way he handles pressure and talent, he's always the coolest guy in the room. He just doesn't let anything get to him.
Yep.
And it shows on the production team. It doesn't bleed across. It's very contained in that sense.
Well, it's so important, right? Because realistically, when you're at the head of all that, it really does affect everything and everyone. And to have a hot-headed producer would just be
Like
awful.
even when I did the Pokemon event in Japan, we had external producers come in.
Yeah.
So it's through another company, but they have their own producers for the show, and they come from a TV background. So they're super their way of producing is so different from the esports way. They're standing up, they're just calling cameras nonstop, and the way they handle pressure is insane. This event had so much pressure riding on it, and the way the guy was just calling cameras nonstop, 14 go, 15 go, 37, fly 7, stand out, walk out Miyamoto, all this sort of stuff is just
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Wow. What did you do for that event?
I did replays for that.
You did?
For the VGC stage. So
Wow.
that was probably the event of my lifetime at the moment.
Yeah.
Because that was insane.
Far out. How did you get into that?
That was just through ESL. They got the gig. We've done the regionals for a while.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting the Worlds gig.
Yeah.
Wild.
And then the Worlds was in Japan for the first time ever. The Pokemon World
The
Championship
place
was
to go.
in Japan.
Yeah.
And so the whole city of Yokohama, or not city, I think it's a province or state. The whole little region of Yokohama was transformed into Pokemon themes.
Oh,
so the stream was on these Pokeball stands throughout the whole city. You would leave the venue and the stream was in the whole city.
So would you say that's probably
Wow.
the greatest product you've worked on?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely scale wise, 100%.
Yeah.
There's the most people that went. We had behind the stage. It was 4 games on one stage. So it was Pokemon Go, TCG, VGC, and Unite.
Wow.
It was all on one stage, and ESL was doing 3 of them, and then there was a Japanese crew doing Unite, and just the whole scale of the event, seeing the Pokemon's such a family thing in Japan. It's so family oriented, and seeing so many families in the crowd watching it and shit, it makes you. I don't know,
It's a different culture, isn't it?
Definitely, but it's such a fulfilling feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially being in the amalgamation. My end of day package was the thing to crown everything off, which was no pressure at all. But
Were you proud of what you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a package of all the games together, and then I tried to use custom stingers and smoke transitions to wipe them together. It was good.
Fuck yeah.
But it was a lot of pressure. But
Yeah.
kidding.
but having said that, when you do something like that, it makes everything that's everything that's not as big in scale easier to manage and to be more chilled out, like to have that cool, calm head when it comes to smaller stage stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that like having those kind of experience, obviously you're going to university for something that's probably a little more structured than esports, how much do you think that world needs to blend into what esports is at the moment?
I think a lot more.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of like the 1%ers and the style comes in that I bring is that sounds fucking egotistical, but the like the style I go for, I think came a lot from my film background or like studying film and media and everything. I think I don't know, it's the love for film or just like the way that you can feel something from a film.
Yep.
I want to try and transition that into esports or into any production you get into.
Yeah.
If you want to evoke emotion out of people.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? And I think it's like you said before with sports and esports and how it hasn't quite caught up to the quality that a lot of sports can be. I feel like, I mean, especially in ANZ, I guess it's really hard because so many players come and go and we don't really have like that many rosters that are sticking around. But like, I feel like the one thing we've always spoken about, and it's so awesome that you're passionate about too, is like creating storylines around players and the teams. And I feel like, in this region, like, I mean, like we'll go to Siege, like we've got Bliss, and then it's like,
what do you do?
Like, other than like Bliss, it's like, what other storylines of anyone do you?
It's the problem with the whole OCE region. You see it in every
esport.
Every esport has this one team that's bottlenecked at the top.
Yeah.
And then people pinch people from that team. They go international, and there's never enough people to build up a secondary team to compete.
Yeah.
Poaching's been a number one issue.
It's always been.
Yeah.
For a long
and also,
time.
like, stability. Let's just like put it as what it is. Stability has always been the number one problem in OCE.
Yeah.
And that leads into poaching. It leads into orgs not being there to support, because for the longest time, we had, I'd probably say like 6 premier orgs. We had like your Legacies, your Orders, your Chiefs, your Direwolves. We had these big name and big brands, Avant back in the day.
Yep.
And then you had a lot of filtered Twitter orgs, but all of them really struggled with finding stability. And it's like, you can put it down to anything. You can put it down to budget and support from the publishers. You can put it down to the lack of population in Australia, the fact that really globally speaking, esports is still building, and the fact that we're essentially down the tier list, like all the way down at D. We are so far away from any S tier event or anything like that. No matter how good our players are, how good our production teams are, we're so far away from that point that it's all filtering down so slowly. And so when there's a burst like we've had, everything gets worse because there's no support. You don't have people for the love of passion anymore. Passion is dwindling really fast because people don't get paid. Not naming names. People don't get
names.
People don't have support like they should. And like realistically, after you've been, I'm going to say the word abused. It's not abused, but once your passion has been utilized and you have gone to the point of where that passion no longer can cover you, things just absolutely fade by the wayside. And that's what's happening. It's just turning absolutely awful. Like, it really is. We can all put our hands up and be like, it's an unsteady ground right now. Yeah. But I think what it takes, and I think this is what we built REKT on and what the premise will be moving forward, is like, it takes one group of people to see significant change and to show that things can change. And it doesn't mean things are going to change overnight. I'm not saying we're the heroes in this story. What I'm saying is I want to focus on building that back. Yeah. Because if we don't, it's just going to fade. Yeah. It's going to fade. And things are going to become really a lot worse than what they are right now.
That's a good point.
Because it needs support.
I just think like it would be so nice to create those storylines again, like where we are really like celebrating and showcasing teams. Because I think the thing as well, right, is that, sometimes you can push through a little bit of the hard times of the instability in the industry as long as you're getting supported in different ways, whether it be by fan base, whether it be by the production of something, and really feeling like you're being celebrated. And I think it's like, again, it's so cool having someone like yourself on that really cares about, again, those little 1%ers that create stories and like each week building on, you know, like this whole ecosystem that we're doing for Rainbow Six. Like by the end of it, really kind of going like with the teams that we end up with for the gauntlet, really having like this whole journey that we've been on. And by the end of it, really being able to showcase the best teams that come into that. And hopefully, you know, it's not just a team bliss, like everything.
Your hair.
Oh, my hair. Sorry. My hair's at this awful length. But yeah, like, I don't know. I'm really excited to see what you can do, what you can bring, and what we can do as a team to kind of, I don't know, elevate the teams, elevate the players, and hopefully, get it to a stage once we're at the end of this. And then hopefully going into 2025 season to, you know, I don't know, make people feel that they're a part of something really cool and
nice,
that they're celebrated. And
it's tough.
Yeah, even if they're not getting paid or paid particularly well, you know, they're at least being celebrated for the work that they've done and in getting to where they are.
It's really hard because when you lose the amount of people that all the companies around us have lost, now we've gained employees. The reason we've gained employees is because Elise and I don't pay ourselves so that we've got that money sitting there to be able to bring people on like yourself that care and want to innovate. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the long term of all of this, is making sure that we bring people like yourself on that change products and that when we get opportunities to do player content, we're not asking what their favorite pizza is. We've all seen it. We've all been a part of it. I'm not sitting here being like, people don't understand. No. The problem is you do that when there's a lack of motivation, when there's a lack of passion, when there's a lack of leadership.
When it becomes a job or like a mundane job.
And for so many people, it just has. And unfortunately for a lot of people, it's become a mundane, underpaid job because of the fact that like the money's just not there. You can't just go pouring 100K into someone that you don't have. It just doesn't work like that. But I do want to loop back around on the conversation of yourself. You've obviously joined on with us now, but outside of that, and this is kind of an announcement to everyone, you are a freelancer. How have you found the freelance life?
Really good, honestly. This is it's a big reason as to why I didn't like go into part-time / full-time work either. This is probably my first time telling you guys as well, but like the part of you guys letting me do freelance stuff on the side is a big reason why I'm working with you guys. Because I want a place where we can get a project and I can work on it and workshop it and do that. But I also want to do freelance on the side because it's so nice. Like working with ESL, working with Josh, Loki, having did some work with Roots and Longshot.
Gino?
Yeah. But it's very fun, and I think I want to try and do something in Europe as well in freelance because I know that's like that's how everyone works over there, is all freelance. And I think now there's also been a push to make that more in Australia as well. Like everyone's trying to move over to the freelance style of rate. I'm sure you've seen it with like R6 observers and talent and stuff. Like everyone's trying to go to freelance now because that's how Europeans do it. And I think it makes more sense in the long run. Like there's no point in having someone on casual and you pay them a casual rate, but sometimes they'll have like 2 months where they don't get work.
Casual is really tough.
It doesn't make sense. So that's what we're moving towards now. But I love working freelance. And it's also like it's now that I'm experienced in replay operating, I can do it like very proficiently. And it's just come on a product. I know how I've done like most esports under the sun. So I know how every product works and like can just slot in really easy.
He's so fast. Watching
crazy.
Isak, literally like, because I've done replays before.
Did you know that Alicia is a replay operator?
I've done replays before. And let me tell you right now, it's one of those things like, it sort of seems simple, right? It sort of seems like not.
I mean, the premise of it is.
The premise
is mark out and then you're done.
But the rate in which this guy can like get it done, and then also like you blink and like production's got them ready to go. They've got a highlight reel ready for like going into the break or to talk about in a segment. And then at the end of the day for socials, I've got this like package of like all the rounds and then also a highlight reel at the end. Like it is it is insane. Like I'd be sitting there going, oh shit, what? Like you've got this like it's one of those programs where it's not that easy to kind of like read where you're at unless you're titling things. Anyway, it's a lot.
It's all in vMix, by the way.
Isaac's a fucking wizard, and so we're very lucky to have
Just a
you.
guy.
I'm just a guy.
Just a guy doing what he loves.
Seriously, I've been doing it for like 4 years, so I've had a lot of time to skill it, and a lot of replays is just muscle memory.
Yeah.
Like, those keybinds I have now on my Shoulder Pro especially, I haven't changed in like 3 years.
Wow.
Like now it's all just like putting extra stuff on stream decks and like doing cool like live sort of, someone described it as live DJing or like a TV DJ.
It kind of is.
Which was a cool thing to do.
TV DJ.
Yeah.
Well, to give people context to how quick he actually is, there's about 7 seconds between the last kill of a round and the start of the next, like the transition into the next round in Siege. And generally, whenever we do replays, doesn't matter who's doing our replays, whether it's me, Nuttery, or Domo, or someone who we're bringing on, the replays generally take about 20 seconds to prepare. So they're starting in the next round. This motherfucker has them ready before the kill cam's even finished, which is about, I think the kill cam is about 6 seconds. He's got all the replays ready by the point that that's finished, which is just like, I'm sure it's easy to do for you, but for us, it's fucking mind-blowing.
There's nothing that in my world that I can get done in 6 seconds. Like nothing.
No. I don't want to say this now, so it seemed like a dick, but I think R6 is like one of the way easier shows to do than any other sport.
What's the hardest?
Probably CS.
Yeah.
CS is so fast paced.
Yeah.
It's so rapid. Like you have 15 seconds or 10 seconds in pre-round. So you can't go a package over 15 seconds because they're already in mid looking for a kill.
Yeah.
And then after that, you've got to name all your clips. And then you've got to, I guess you've got to filter out the bad ones you don't want. And then you got to get ready. And by that time, there's probably already been like 3 kills in the next round.
Yeah.
And so you got to scrub back, find those, scrub back. And then sometimes in CS, you just get like, CS is make or break a replay operator, I think. Like if you really want to test someone's metal, put them on a CS show. Because that's like, that's really hard. That's not about like game knowledge. That's about like how fast you can be. Yeah. Whereas like StarCraft is like game knowledge. My chest feels tight
just thinking about that pressure. It's so fast. I don't know.
It's a lot.
I don't know how you do it.
It's fun though. CS is like, it's really fun to do because it's so fast, I think. Like I like trying to test myself. Yeah. And especially if you have a player cam operator, like, which is most CS shows are set up where you'll have one replay operator who's doing just player cams and then the guy who's on main game. It depends if you go with vMix or EVS, which is another popular replay software.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard of it. I don't know if you
have. No.
It's very heavy in television.
It's like the TV broadcast standard.
Yeah.
vMix is more like esports standard because it's a bit cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper, not a bit. Yeah. A shit ton cheaper. And it does everything else too. Yeah. EVS is like 50 grand for like a unit that's like 20 years old.
Just disclaimer, we're probably not going to use that
ever.
Sorry, Isaac.
It's okay. I prefer vMix, honestly. I think the biggest advantage to EVS is the frame rate. Even though theoretically you can get 240 FPS replays on vMix. That's an avenue I haven't explored yet.
It's going all over Alicia's head right now.
It's well, like so, like when you do a slow mo, if you see him in R6, it gets like a bit framey. When I go down like 50%, it's going like about 24 frames, 30 frames. Yeah. But on EVS, when you do the slow mos, it's super smooth.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Which is what like I think the R6 guys in like Japan and stuff do, and they do like the 50% speeds. Yep. It's because it's all through EVS.
Yes.
But there's a lot more advantages to vMix over EVS. This is a whole debate that some people are going to hate me for because there's die-hard EVS operators and there's die-hard.
Put it in the comments for the 80 people that are watching this.
Hashtag vMix for life. But like you can naming clips in EVS is impossible. Like it's so hard to do in a timely manner. Yeah. And even like clipping and storing is come back. Even clipping and storing them in vMix is way easier. Yeah. And seeing them, visualizing them, it's just easier. Which allows me to do like social clips for you. Like if I was using EVS, I couldn't do the social clips.
No, we will never be getting that.
Well, the big difference, and I'd like your opinion on this, but the thing that we will never do as a production company, well, I say never. Let me retract that for a second. The thing I'm trying to avoid doing is moving to TV. I don't want to move the product to television workflows. The main reason outside of the cost, which is
The
like
cost is-
the cost to run a
insane for that
production,
reason.
like a general production room in esports, like to run it properly, efficiently, you're probably talking about 70K maybe. For TV, you're talking like $500,000 to run it properly, like to have a fully functioning, flowing room. You're talking such an absurd amount of money, it's not even funny to a small company.
And there's like 5 times the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need
Every
to
role is
individualize.
segmented.
Outside of the cost and that, the complexity of teaching someone TV versus teaching someone vMix
That's true.
is so absurdly different, it's not even funny. And like you said, vMix has a capability that no one will ever really realize unless you use it. I know there's a couple of people that might watch this that have used vMix in the past. It's not friendly. It's not like if you're using OBS and then you go to vMix, you're like, what in the shit is this? But once you understand the capabilities of vMix, it's actually
you can do so much.
it's absurd. It's really
crazy.
absurd. And I think like the people that I've seen have done it really well. Like if you look at Ferme over in North America, who runs, I believe he's the producer for the North American League, but prior to that, he was doing like the Japan broadcast, the ones that we are doing now. And he was also doing Element 1, 2, and 3, which are the tier 2, tier 3 scenes. He has figured out a way to just absolutely game the system. Like the solo producer could do any show in the world and you would think there's a full production team behind him. And that comes down to a lot of things, practice and understanding the software, but also further than that, like understanding how to script and all of the coding, which I do not understand. I'll always put my hand up and say coding's not my world.
It's a lot of dedication too.
It is.
The man hours that guy must put in is.
I don't even want to know. Ferme, if you watch this, let us know what kind of hours you've put into the software. But
I'm sure it's insane.
I don't want to know. The fact of the matter is for me, he wants to know. The fact of the matter for me is like you can turn that product on, you can turn software like vMix on, and within a week you can understand how to run a show. You do that with television. Good luck even cabling shit together. Good luck cabling. And that's just the start of your problems. And then you've got individualized workflows. Everyone's on different desks.
Well, like it even comes back around to like, let's say, take replays for example. That's what I know most about is like a normal, like a CS show in Europe or something. They'll have 3 replay operators, all on EVS machines, and they're getting paid freelance rates. So
massive.
The rate increase for that is like insane. And the way they do it is like they'll have one guy on in-game replays, one guy on out-of-game replays, making packages, and then one guy on player cams. And they break up into 3, whereas vMix, you can do all that in one operator.
It's crazy.
And the cost of the software the hardware is way cheaper.
Fraction.
It's such a budget thing, but that's why people write it off a lot at higher levels is because it's meant as a budget solution to replays. But the creative capabilities of vMix far exceed EVS. Besides the FPS, the stuff you can do with merges, with overlays, with with sub mixes and everything is just insane. That's how I was doing all like the cool shit. You can't do that on vMix. Like all that OCN stuff, you just can't do that on EVS. Sorry. That's all vMix. And if you ever want to know, just click that merge button and start fiddling around with that because that shit.
It's wild. Merging is
crazy.
Wild.
That merge button is the golden ticket.
We started using it on. I think I started using it back when we were doing the Predator League for Valorant. I started understanding, like, even as a producer, how you can merge scenes and how beautiful it looks. And then we started really using it for the campaign when we started doing like overheads and all of these kind of like, because Siege only recently brought out overheads, if you'd believe that. You could only very recently can you have 2 observers in the same client.
So crazy.
The server. It's incredible. But that's when I started to learn like, oh shit, there is so much more you can do with this project, with this product. And it ends up telling a better story, which hopefully we can start to do. But we've talked a lot about replays. Now, we've hired you on as a part of the broadcast team. I think your official title is Lead Broadcast Tech.
Yeah, we made it up.
It doesn't really make sense because we're both lead.
You're both lead broadcast tech because technically both of you have similar knowledge but very separate in your knowledge. So we'll be separating that very quickly. But my question to you is: talked a lot about replays. You've built a career around replays. What's your ideal role?
I would like to. It's hard for me to let go of replays as a thing because I do enjoy doing it,
Yep.
and it comes so natural to me now. It's such an easy thing to do, and I love getting on new projects, which I can do through replays, like through freelance.
Yeah.
I love jumping into new stuff, like always keeping it fresh. But I think outside of that, producing is probably my next step. I've always wanted to be a producer. ESL came and they offered me full-time producing, I think probably a year or two ago. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not. Sorry, guys.
I can black that out if you want. It's up to you.
Nah, I think it should be fine. But I said no because I still wanted to do freelance replays, and I don't think I could do it if I was full time with ESL.
Oh, that'd be very tough.
Yeah.
And
That'd be very
I
tough.
still want to travel. Like I really want to go back to Europe.
That's the
and I
beauty
can't
of
really do
being
that.
freelance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a lot of free time I should be working on more projects, but I'm sort of a bit lazy with it.
But how old are you?
24.
Enjoy your life.
Just
These are
enjoy
still
life.
passion projects and stuff, but I want to live life a bit more.
Yeah.
I want to go traveling. Want to, I don't know, go on road trips, shit like that. Like go camping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah. I think that's what, for people at home, me and Alicia's biggest focus, I'm going to speak on behalf of both of us right now, is to allow people like Isak to do that, is to have people who understand their shit, offer them, we call it part-time work. You get paid every week.
Your guys' agreement has been very relaxed, like as in a good way.
Well, I think
it's very kind of you guys.
But the reason it's more so for people out there
Okay,
that might be looking to find work or anything like that. I'm actually kind of using this as like a Batman signal call. The reason we do this is because I don't believe that you should be filling your quota of 20 hours every week.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I believe. I believe you should be doing 20 hours of your work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 20 hours of your work might be 15 hours. If you're that good at delivering your job, I am not going to pull you up and be like, I see that you haven't finished your 21 hours this week. I expect an extra 6 hours on top of that. But we also know esports is not just like every week we're doing a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
You're doing 40 hours one week, and then the next week, guess what? You're free as a bird. You go camping, you go to Europe, you do whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
And the fortunate situation we're in is we have all employees that want to do that.
Yeah.
All of our employees want to go overseas, want to do things.
Mm-hmm.
You and Sky, both freelancers, are traveling around the world at the moment doing different things. I know, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Do you want to talk
going
about
to Japan in 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Don't even talk about that. My question to you is, I forgot my question to you.
You said, do you want to talk about?
No, yes, I was literally.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about the role you've got coming up overseas in 2 weeks?
Replays at MLBB in Malaysia.
Yeah. Don't say it like it's not a big thing. Is it not a massive event?
I think it's pretty big. Yeah.
I'm
I haven't
pretty
done
sure
too
it's-
much research into MLBB.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, like, to contextualize this, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, greatest name for an esport ever in the world, is the most watched esport in the world.
Is it?
Yep. And it's not even close.
Thanks for the no pressure, dude. Jeez.
Mobile Legends
It's a
Bang
big
Bang
deal.
doubles viewership in every category.
Jesus.
Because it's very much from the Asia culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mobile phones, mobile esports do be pretty big.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and I think it was PUBG Mobile, I don't know what it would be nowadays, but they were at the very top.
Mhm.
Mobile Legends Bang Bang, I might even just throw a chart up right now to show you. Insane. The
Really?
viewership is insane. In the
The
Western
accessibility
culture,
of mobiles.
we're talking about
Yeah.
League of Legends, CS, Dota. No, don't even worry about that. Mobile Legends Bang Bang is the biggest product.
You just doubled my excitement for it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad there's a bit of context there for you because
He's like got no idea what he's even walking into.
it's actually a product I really wanted to work on back in the day. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
as talent, and then when we first started REKT, it was one of the first companies I went to and was like, I want to work with you. The problem, it's a problem for us, but it's not a problem for the company. Mobile Legends Bang Bang really try to localize their products, which is fantastic. It means that the people who are working the product know the product fully.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful. It's really good to see. But I think that might wrap things up. I know I just spoke for like 5 minutes there, but
Thank you for joining the Rob Monday
The Rob
podcast.
podcast.
Special guest Rob Monday.
just gotta stroke that ego, baby. You gotta stroke that ego.
Broadcast, baby.
Love it. No, thank you
Robcast.
so much for talking to us
for having me.
and telling the people at home a little bit about yourself. I mean, we didn't even get to his backstory of growing up in Sydney.
Nice and soon, nice.
Maybe we'll talk
Always.
about that another time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sydney born and raised, now living in Melbourne. So
Which
The
is better?
premier
Be
Be
nice.
careful, which is better?
I got no comment.
Smart man. He's a smart man. He's been media
I'm not
trained.
making no enemies here.
No, it's very fair.
He's like, he still
I'm
works
not-
for people in Sydney, so
I'm
he's
not
like, I'm
making-
going to be very, very careful.
Anything you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, thanks for having me, guys. It's been nice. Thanks if you're watching. Thanks for watching. Getting to the end of the podcast. Cool.
This is the only place to keep your podcast needs.
Yeah.
I think that's actually been like 50 minutes. I was
Well,
surprised.
I'm starting to get a feel for the amount of time
Get a
now.
little tingle.
It's feeling, I get a little tingle.
An Alicia tingle.
A little Alicia tingle. I'm like,
Tingle.
and you know what? I felt it about 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah,
how's that?
yeah.
I was like,
Smack
this
bang on.
feels like, this feels like time.
So on that, we're going to go start preparing for a broadcast that we've got this afternoon. Thank you for watching. If you didn't like this video, that's okay. You can let us know by hitting subscribe. Really helps us.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Hit
take
that
care.
bell.
Bye.
Hit that bell.